Welcome to our CFP Exam Prep podcast. Today, we're diving deep into actuarial requirements for retirement plans, specifically focusing on defined benefit and cash balance plans. This is a crucial topic that frequently appears on the CFP exam, and understanding the core concepts can make the difference between passing and failing. Let's break down the fundamental concept of actuarial requirements. Actuarial calculations are essentially mathematical models that determine how much money needs to be set aside today to meet future pension obligations. These calculations consider multiple variables, including mortality rates, employee turnover, expected investment returns, and salary progression. In defined benefit plans, the actuarial requirements become particularly complex because the employer promises a specific benefit at retirement. The benefit is typically based on a formula using years of service and final average salary. For example, a plan might offer 1.5% of final average salary multiplied by years of service. So, an employee with 30 years of service and a final average salary of $100,000 would receive $45,000 annually in retirement. One common mistake CFP candidates make is confusing the actuarial factors used in defined benefit plans versus cash balance plans. In defined benefit plans, actuaries must project future salary increases and years of service. However, in cash balance plans, the focus is on the hypothetical account balance and the interest crediting rate. Speaking of cash balance plans, these hybrid plans require different actuarial considerations. While they look like defined contribution plans to employees, they're actually defined benefit plans from a funding perspective. The employer must ensure sufficient assets are available to provide the promised interest credits and pay credits. A typical cash balance plan might credit 5% of salary annually, plus a 4% interest credit on the accumulated balance. Another critical concept is the funding requirement timeline. The actuary must determine the normal cost, which is the present value of benefits earned in the current year, and any amortization of unfunded liabilities. Test takers often forget that unfunded liabilities must be amortized over a specific period according to ERISA guidelines. When studying for the exam, pay special attention to the Pension Protection Act requirements. This legislation established specific funding targets and contribution requirements. A common trap question involves the minimum funding requirements. Remember that plans must generally be funded to at least 100% of their target liability, with shortfalls requiring accelerated contributions. Here's a practical example that often appears in exam questions. Consider a defined benefit plan with a present value of future benefits of $10 million. If the plan assets are currently $8 million, there's a $2 million unfunded liability. The actuary must determine not only the normal cost for the current year, but also how to amortize this $2 million shortfall over the required period. Let's address another frequent exam mistake regarding actuarial assumptions. Candidates often forget that changes in actuarial assumptions can significantly impact funding requirements. For instance, lowering the expected investment return assumption from 7% to 6% would increase the required contributions, as more money needs to be set aside today to meet future obligations. Remember that actuaries must also factor in early retirement subsidies and cost of living adjustments when calculating funding requirements. These features can significantly increase plan costs and are often overlooked in exam calculations. Always check whether a question mentions these benefits before solving funding requirement problems. Understanding these actuarial concepts isn't just about memorization. It's about grasping how different variables interact and impact the overall funding requirements. Master these principles, and you'll be well prepared for this portion of the CFP exam.